Welcome to a demonstration of Units of Sound, our literacy development programme. Units of Sound is for students who have difficulty with decoding and who need a structured programme as a second chance at acquiring those literacy skills that they all need. This is the student screen, and as you can see, we have reading, which has 5 different activities and is very much focused on decoding skills. Spelling, which is the spelling program, is based on single words and has 3 different activities. In memory, we move on to short phrases with 2 activities. And in dictation, we're working with single sentences, and there's 1 activity with that. To get going on the program, we have 2 placement activities for reading and spelling, a bit like a spelling and reading test. And unlike many programs, we do not tie reading and spelling together. So you can be on stage 1 for spelling and 3 for reading, for instance, because it's very common that there's quite a gap between those 2 skills. We're basing the work on auditory and visual patterns. We don't use analysis or rules within the program, which makes it useful for a very wide ability range of students. I'm going to show you, first of all, the reading program, and we'll go into it. When you first go into it, there is an introductory message that you'll hear.
The letters O, A together make another long vowel sound, O, which is usually found in the middle of words. The unit of sound is O. Say that sound.
O. So it tells you what the new unit of sound is. So this is how all new words are introduced. And you can see we've got a very strong auditory and visual pattern here. The stars will tell you how many blocks of words that we're dealing with here. And I will just start with the first one, as if I was a student.
4 words ending in oat. They are
coat,
coat,
goat,
goat,
boat,
boat,
foot,
float.
So you have 2 seconds to read the word, which is recorded, and then the program voice will tell you what the word is. So I now have all these ticks. This yellow one will tell, if I click that, will play through all the words with my recording and the program voice, or you can do it individually. Coat.
Coat.
So this is where the student decides if they have read the word correctly and if they've pronounced it properly. If they're happy with that, then they just move on. I seem to remember I got one wrong here. Foot.
Float.
And in that case, I would immediately re-record. Float.
Float.
And then I check it. Float.
Float.
So the student is going to get all the words correct, one way or another, having read through the block. So you work through these blocks until all the stars are filled in, and then move on to the next activity. This looks a little bit like the previous block, but we don't have a unit of sound up here, and we don't have a common pattern here. And these are check words, words that have been introduced previously in secure patterns and are now being revisited more randomly. Process is the same. You click on the triangle, read the word, hear it back, and re-record as needed. Move on when all the stars are filled in. And this is where we're looking at check sounds. So the units of sound, again, that have previously been introduced. There is an introductory activity here with the question marks, which are particularly for new students to the exercise.
Tree.
Tree. E.
Boy.
Boy. Oi. So you've given a clue word, and I'm practicing saying the clue word and then getting the sound. Where you've got two,
moon, and book.
moon, oo, book, and then when you're ready, click on the triangle, read the units of sound, hear back, re-record as needed. When the stars are filled in, we move on. And here we have the quiz questions where we start looking at vocabulary. And you can see that these words are from one of the earlier blocks.
Is he called Billy?
Is he called Billy? That would be a goat. I'm going to click and stick, and I get that right. So there are actually three ways of putting the answers in. It doesn't matter which one you do. I'm going to get one wrong now.
Looks like a frog.
Looks like a frog. Well, I'm not going to think very carefully here and get it wrong. The correct answer appears above. Then I'm going to move out through that page. You don't get all the same activities on every page, and so I'm just going to move to another page to show you another one. So this is where we have a passage, a structured passage, using sounds and words that you've met before. And here, student clicks on the sentence and reads it aloud. Many cab firms in the US have cars which are yellow, and then clicks to hear the sound.
Many cab firms in the U.S. have cars which are yellow.
And you work on through that. We don't record this, we only record single items. And when they've finished through the passage, you move on out. And again, we've got that message about a reading check. So the student working through the program with reading is practicing and is getting a lot of feedback. But we also need an activity with the teacher or the support person who will listen to the student reading an unprepared passage and a sample of words and sounds, and then check if they're on the right page or whether they need to do some again. I'm now going to go into the spelling program, and I've picked the same page just so that you can see the cumulative effect of what we're doing. Kind of looks a bit like reading to begin with, except we've got spelling up here, and we've still got our unit of sound there. We can get the sound, and I can see the pattern. So students should have a good look at these words. Notice, for instance, float is a little bit more complicated to spell. And then when they're ready, they click and start.
Coat.
Coat. C-O-A-T. Coat.
Goat.
Goat. G-O-A-T. Goat. And so on. So you hear the sound, repeat the word, say the letter names as you type them, and repeat the word again. If I get one wrong,
boat.
Boat. It sticks, it doesn't move on, and you actually get 3 attempts before this will move on. You can hear the sound as many times as you want.
Boat.
And when it does move on, the correct answer will appear up here. So this is how new words are introduced into the spelling program. Now, if you remember, on this page was the check words. So these are words the student has already spelt before. So now they don't get to see them first. It's a little bit harder, and you're just working from the sound.
From.
From. F-R-O-M. From. So the process is the same. And if I get one wrong,
those.
Those. Let's try that. Okay, so again, it sticks. I have 3 attempts. The correct word will appear up here, and I can play the sound as many times as I want. If I come now to the final activity, this is more like the spelling test. So there are always 10 words, and these are taken one from each of the previous 10 pages. So there's a lot of revisiting going on here.
Light.
Light. L-I-G-H-T. Light. The process is the same. I get my star. I get it correct.
Obey.
Let's get one wrong. and it moves on straight away. I do not get 3 attempts, and I do not get my gold star. I need to get 8 out of 10 of these correct for this page to move on. Otherwise, it will stick until I get the correct score, an 8, 9, or a 10. Okay, I can get some feedback there. That's how reading and spelling work. When you do the spelling placement, wherever you're placed in the program, memory is set 10 pages behind, and dictation is set 5 pages behind that. Because the activity is a little bit more complex, the level of the words is a little bit easier as you're working through, but it is also building in this very important revisiting. Just because you've finished the spelling here does not mean to say that you're not going to get other attempts, other chances to reinforce that learning. So it's going to move into memory here. And the first thing you get to see short phrases and read them aloud. First aid. Fair hair. Paid for paint. Faint with pain. Rain daily. Paint the rail. Railway train. Fairly warm. Daily trail. Fairly painful. So you see each phrase at 2-second intervals. So it can be quite demanding for students to be able to read and say them aloud at that pace. So I now know which phrases I'm going to be working with. And then I get on to the next activity, and I will see each phrase for 5 seconds, and then they will disappear for 10 where the keyboard is disabled, and I have to hold them in my memory and then type it out. First aid, 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 and now I can type it in. First aid. Okay. If I get one wrong, fair hair. 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 Again, it moves on straight away. I get the correct answer above, but I do not get my star. Again, I need to get 8 out of 10 of these correct for this page to move on. You can start seeing the conventions that are used within the program. And now to dictation, where we're working at the whole sentence level. There are 5 sentences here on every activity, and you need to get 4 of these correct for this page to move on. So this is the most demanding activity.
There's no shame in trying hard.
There's no shame in trying hard. We get a little bit of a help up here to tell us how many words there are and some basic punctuation. There's no auto-correct here. You can play the same sound as many times as you like. There's no shame in trying hard. Okay, so when I think I've got it correct, I play the sound again.
There's no shame in trying hard.
And if I think that's all right, I click and I've got my gold star. And as I said, I need to get 4 correct here. One of the added advantages of this activity is it actually teaches students how to check their work at a single sentence level. And if they can do it at a sentence, they can do it at a paragraph and later at a page level. So it's a very, very useful activity. So those are the 4 programs that the student will be working through. So what is the teacher doing? So I'm just going to find you the teacher login. And you can see this will take me to the welcome screen where we've just been looking. So this is for the teacher, and this will take you to the records where you do the setup, where you do the reading check activity, and where you can see all the records and set up new students and tutors. There is some help for the tutor. You can see here we've got the messaging service, so you can contact one of our staff, a specialist teacher, if you need any advice or help. There is, by the way, a practitioner's course to train anyone using the program to begin with, which is online with 10 modules in that. You do not need to be a specialist teacher to use the program. Class teachers, teaching assistants, volunteers have all been very successful in using the program. But you do need to know what you're doing. So we recommend a training for everyone supporting students in the program. On every screen, there is a screen tutor, and this is in the learning program for students as well. So you've got a little video here, either explaining, let's say, a screen like this, but in reading, it will explain how to do that activity. So that's for students and for staff. And we've also got here the help, access to help, where you've got all the screen tutors and additional information and documents which support anyone using units of sound. I hope this brief tour through the program has helped you and that you benefit from using units of sound.